Hey everyone. Okay, so I think the place to start with this episode is that we learn the truth about Drakken's machine that he uses to maintain his youth, which is to say that we learn through Amira that the machine draws upon the life force of all things within its range, even the planet itself, which right out of the gate goes to explain why Gillis was such a dead world before the chronophage devoured it, because Drakken's machine siphoned all life out of the planet. But it's also through this revelation that basically the dark secret behind the death of Weiss's mother is also revealed. Drakken did basically kill her, but by siphoning her life force to main his own, leading to the end of the episode where, armored up and joining Shiki, Weiss is out for blood, and pseudo-spoilers ahead, but I'm not gonna lie, even though this fight is amazing, one aspect of it that I felt was a little bit of a missed opportunity when first reading this in the manga is I really wanted Weiss to lose his arm again. Like, I think the end of this fight would have left slightly more of an impact had history still in some way repeated itself of Weiss losing his arm and needing to get a prosthetic like his older self, even if it was just like a casualty of battle and not directly like Drakken Joe the one doing it. I think it would have helped slightly to emphasize the point that there are some things about history that remain the same regardless of what changes. Again, I still like the fight as is, but I think it just would have been that extra little bit stronger and more impactful had Mashima committed the idea of Weiss losing his arm being one of the many connecting threads that doesn't change. Then again, I think the idea at least Mashima was going for is beating back against the expectations from the flow of time. I think that's kind of what he was trying to do, but again, I think it still would have been stronger if Weiss lost his arm, honestly, like permanently. All that out of the way, though, let's talk about the art and animation, because I think it's fair to say there was definitely a big bump in quality with this episode, and I guess it's even more fair to say that it's been this season as a whole, but the thing is, with those other episodes, you can still clearly tell where they cut corners, whereas with this one, you can definitely tell where the budget went. They wanted to make sure this, if nothing else, they made this episode and this fight with Drakken Joe look amazing. So just to really capture the tone and atmosphere of what kind of threat Drakken Joe really is, right up to the point of the reveal of his overdrive, which in itself is a good sign that most episodes beyond this point, at least in regards to this arc, are probably gonna be about the same quality. I don't want to jump the gun and say we can expect this level of quality for the rest of the season, but at the very least, in regards to the fight with Drakken, I think this episode is the studio's way of saying we got this covered, and I do kind of find that a little funny but sad that my highest expectations for this fight and it going into it, what was the little clip we saw in the opening, but the studio took that one clip and said we're gonna make that shit look good. So yeah, now the art animation was was great. It was amazing and it was great in this episode. Now that it wasn't perfect. Don't get either. There were maybe a couple corners the episodes did still cut in the sense where they played it fast and loose with how they adapted certain panels from the manga that I would have liked to see. Like for example, when Drakken Joe is talking about how he killed Shiki how he also killed Shiki in the previous world at the execution site, and the execution site being the place where he did it. In the anime, obviously, you see that they just did a full-on wide shot of it or something. But in the manga, there was kind of like a split there were split panels of close-up faces of both Shiki and Drakken Joe, and I would have liked to if they more adapted that. But again, I guess you could say they're small details, but they're still details I would have liked to see added into this episode. With that said, one little detail I like about the fight with Drakken this time around, upon revisiting this, is Shiki's little moments of being intuitive. Like, for example, when Drakken turns his arm into iron, it immediately clicks for Shiki that a close-range battle is not a good position to be in when facing Drakken. So immediately upon that happening, he switches to a long-range attack by using his ether gear on the ceiling and flinging the rubble. It's not a big deal, but but I think moments like that do go a long way to showing that Shiki is smarter than people give him credit for, even if he's still extremely gullible when someone mentions the word friend to him. Like, anytime when mentions the word friend to him, he's like, friend? Can we be friends? It's like, no, dude, no, motherfucker. Of course, as Drakken also proved in this episode, it doesn't really matter what position you take him on from. His ether gear has a wide range, allowing him to attack from any distance. So yeah, Shiki does still have his work cut out for him. It's just a matter of like, how does one like attack? How does one attack throw this? Of course, while that's going on, we basically have a lot of the moving pieces coming into play, like Homura finding Lobelia and Ivory making her move to bargain with Jin. But I definitely want to talk more about the whole Homura and Lobelia moments in this episode, because on top of having just a fun dynamic that I liked, I really like how we get to Lobelia kind of get a full-on wake-up call through her interactions with Homura. Like, just the look on Lobelia's face upon learning the lengths Rebecca has gone to save her, despite everything she has done to Rebecca. You can tell Lobelia is going to be doing a lot of soul searching and rethinking of her life after this. After this is all said and done, like, just that wide-eyed face she gives, like, Rebecca really went to these lengths to save me. It's like she's realizing, yeah, maybe she's been a little bit of a bitch. Hate to say it, but yeah. So it's like it's the first step to her for realizing, yeah, maybe Rebecca is good people kind of thing. And although circling back to Jin though, this episode we see Jin's real name revealed, which is Chris Rutherford. And oh boy, there is so much I want to say just about this name reveal in itself. In regards to the kind of narrative leverage Mashima managed to squeeze out of this just one reveal. But all I will say is Clean isn't the only one who suffered. And honestly, like, the thing about this reveal too is that a lot of people who watch the show have talked, a lot of people like me who have read the manga and watched the anime all have like our little back and forths about how the anime has adapted the material. I like to think I've taken a pretty decent middle ground stance on the adaptation, frankly, especially as season 2. But overall, I still do really like season 2. With that said, however, I genuinely have no idea how the anime is going to tackle the reveal of what happened to Chris and Clean Rutherford, because in no uncertain terms, what happened to those two is gruesome as fuck. Like, it is kind of fucking insane, just the amount of torturous past that those two have. And it's like, how is the anime going to tackle that exactly? That's my one big like concern. Like, how's the anime going to do that? That's my thing about it. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of Moon, signing off. Later, everyone.